Mesopotamians. They originated the idea of dividing a circle into 360 degrees. They are reasonable for keeping track of the yearly cycle. They used ziggurats as observations 6,000 years ago. Egyptians. Around 5,000 years ago, they used astronomy for particular purposes. They made a calendar to predict Nile floods. They aligned temples and great pyramids with cardinal points north, south, east, and west. Stonehenge, 2600 BC. It exhibited alignment with the sun and the moon. It is believed to be used to predict eclipses, but there is no proof. The Chinese, 13th century BC. They made and recorded observations of eclipses, 900 solar, 600 lunar. They recorded meteor showers and comets. They used eclipse cycles to predict when eclipses would occur. Follies, c. 624 through 547 BC. He was a merchant who was said to have traveled to Egypt to gather ancient knowledge. He predicted a total solar eclipse. It seemed impossible because Babylonian astronomers couldn't predict solar eclipses, but could predict moon eclipses. Pythagoras, c. 582 through c. 500 BC. He developed a model for the solar system. He adopted the notion of a spherical Earth. He thought Earth wasn't stationary but moved. He also founded a combination of religious sects. He also had a philosophical school and found that Earth revolves each 24 hours. Babylonians. They developed a mathematical description of planetary motions. They made almanacs, and they were able to predict lunar eclipses that occurred during an interval of time called the Saros. Aristotle, 384 to 322 BC. He was a student of Plato. He argued that all celestial motions must be circular. He argued that the moon must be a sphere in order to make it the phases it does. It concluded that Earth must be motionless at the center of the universe. Aristarchus, c. 310 through 230 BC. He applied geometry to the study of astronomy. He used geometry to find the distance of the moon and the sizes of the sun and the moon. He made the small angle equation.
Aristophanes, c. 276 through c. 195 BC. He used geometry to calculate the size of the Earth and also used it to find the circumference of the Earth.
Hipparchus. He was considered the founder of trigonometry. He was famous for discovering the precision of the equinoxes. His most important work astronomically was the orbits of the moon and the sun, their distances from the earth, and their sizes. Also, in 134 BC, Hipparchus had discovered a new star, which led to him keeping a catalog of new-founded stars in which he cataloged about 850. Mayans/Mesoamericans. The civilization started about 500 BCE. They were known for the Deccan Codex, a document that held charts made by the Mayans positioning planets, predicting movements of planets, and tables predicting eclipses. These temples were aligned with the sun, even midsummer, midwinter, and equinoxes. These temples allowed them to determine when to harvest, when to track seasons, and when to plant crops. The Mayans' most important contributor to astronomy was their calendars. There was a Serrano calendar, which was 260 days, and the Vogue calendar, which was 365 days. Ptolemy, 127 through 150 AD. Though popular for many things such as inventing terrestrial longitude and latitude, being the first to orient maps with north at the top and east to the right, popular writings for geometry, music, and optics, Ptolemy is most popular for his geocentric model for the solar system. This model proposes that the path of a planet is a combination of motions on two circular paths.
Muslims. In 1394 to 1449, they improved observing techniques, improved planetary positions, calculations, first to build observatories that were organized and equipped, exerted powerful influence on the rebirth of Western astronomy by passing their astronomy to Christian Europe.
Copernicus. He lived during the height of the Renaissance. Due to his strong Catholic background and his abundant amount of knowledge in many topics including mathematics and astronomy, he would become known as the man with the sun-centered theory, aka the heliocentric theory. This theory is adverse to Ptolemy's theories and models. Being studied in math, he greatly located how far the planets were from the sun, providing the right orbits of the universe. This information did not go public until after his death.
Through his well-lived life, Bra was lucky enough to be viewed by the king who gave Bra his own island and riches to observe. Bra put together a team of observers who went down in history for their accuracy and multiple observations. Bra had rejected Copernicus' heliocentric model. Tycho created a model that was a mixture between Ptolemy and Copernicus. It shows that the sun and moon orbit the earth and all the other planets orbit the sun, making Earth stationary. This model was used up until about a century after his death in 1601.
Galileo, 1609, Galileo.
Heard of the inventions of the telescope, he then made his own. His observations are said to be different than any made before because no astronomer could have seen it without assistant eye. Found the moon had mountain valleys and plains. In the end, he's known for his telescopes, his great observations in the four moons of Jupiter. Being very religious, he was found guilty for heresy and was on house arrest for the last 9 years of his life. Kepler had 3 laws. His first law was planet moves on an elliptical orbit with the sun at one focus. His second law was that a planet moves so that an imaginary line connecting the planet to the sun sweeps out equal areas in equal intervals of time. His third law relates to the motion of all the planets to each other. Newton. He is known for his 3 laws. 1. An object at rest stays at rest, and an object in motion stays in motion. 2. The acceleration of an object depends on the mass of the object and the force applied. 3. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. Edmund Halley. In 1696, he discovered the comets have periodic orbits. In 1705, he accurately predicted the return in 1758 of the comet known as Halley's Comet. Einstein. In 1905 to 1915, he developed the general theory of relativity, one of those 2 pillars of modern physics. It determined that the laws of physics are the same for all non-accelerating observers. In 1915, he published the gravitational field equation of general relativity. Niels Bohr. In 1913, he discovered the atomic theory and explains how electrons can have stable orbits around the nucleus. Wolfgang Pauli. He was a physicist, and in 1925 he discovered the Pauli exclusion principle. An atom, no 2 electrons can occupy the same quantum state simultaneously. Heinsberg. In 1927, he developed new theories in quantum mechanics about the behavior of electrons which agreed with the results of previous experiments. He's famous for the uncertainty principle, explains the impossibilities of knowing exactly where something is and how fast it is moving. Edwin Hubble. In 1925, Hubble sustained the existence of galaxies other than the Milky Way in 1925 at a meeting of the American Astronomical Society. George Lemaitre. In 1931, the Big Bang Theory expansion of the observable universe began with the explosion of a single particle at a definite point in time. Idea first appeared in a scientific form in a paperboy. Robert Oppenheimer. In 1945, he was famous for the atomic bomb, and he was the sole creator for the nuclear bomb. Fred Hoyle, the champion of the steady-state theory of nature of the universe. In cosmology, the steady-state theory is an alternative to the Big Bang model of the evolution of the universe. Penzias and Wilson, discovery of the cosmic background radiation. We're testing a sensitive home antenna which is designed for detecting high levels of microwave radiation. Armstrong and Aldrin. They landed on the moon on July 20th, 1969, and they were actually the first to land on the moon.